All right, nominating committee. Karen, do you have anything else to report?
Nope.
Okay. Ballots are closed, I believe. We're going to report the winner of the president-elect election later. Professional incentives. We currently do not have a committee chair for this role. And so I will report out that we are going to be giving out 4 awards this evening at the banquet. And I also received many nominations as president via our past chair, Ross Abbott, who is no longer working on this committee. And so I will be passing those nominations for future years and future awards on to whoever would like to become our professional incentives chair. So that's a role that our incoming president will fulfill. Student subunit, Brian Weidel.
We had another successful student travel award, as we talked about. We're hoping to revisit how that works. If you have any ideas, want to file that away, thank you. We'll definitely continue to talk about that in probably our next XCOM. So if you have any other ideas for student stuff, let us know. We're still judging posters and talks, and I could use a few for tomorrow. So if you're interested, or if you already took one, let me know the talks you're going to check out tomorrow, just so we can make sure. Thank you all for doing this. I know it's a lot to rush around and hit them all, but thank you. And so we do them every year, so thank you very much for you.
That's great, thanks. And we love our student presentations because they're great things to put on the resume, right? As poster for student art. Thank you very much. All right, Stacey Fergal, diversity report.
Hi there. So as was mentioned, we had a really good response to this year's Diversity Travel Awards. This is only the 2nd year the award has been offered. We kind of revamped it, and as part of the award, offered waived registration and hotel fee. And because of that, we got 9 applicants in total. 5 were students, 4 professionals, and actually after the deadline closed, I had 4 other people contact me and try to submit applications, but the awards had already been distributed. So really, really good response. Hopefully we'll keep that up, keep it going. And then this year, we have the first annual, hopefully, Women in Fisheries Breakfast. So last year we had kind of done an impromptu sort of beta test, post out on Facebook and word of mouth. We had 17 people show up. This year we have 80 women registered to attend the breakfast, which is incredible. So I'll be able to report back on the final metrics, after at our next meeting. But really exciting, and I've got a bunch of ideas for next year. If anyone else has more diversity-themed ideas, let me know.
Great, thank you.
Susan, can I add one quick thing? We always make an attempt to try to not just hit the same schools and reach out. This year we did get folks from 2 different schools contacted me that I've never seen or even heard of before. And so I'm not sure if any of them made it here, but we tried to make arrangements to get them here. And Karen came up with some access to other school groups down in the Hudson. If you guys that are around the state have that, I have a huge list of trying to keep up, professors' names and everybody, to let them know about the travel awards and let them know about the schools. But if you have that, that helps the most, right? You've seen this attendance go up, and you see a lot of different schools here that you haven't before. We're always looking to do that, so please add that. Sorry for that. Thanks.
Okay, that's great, thanks. Dan Stitch, raffle.
We will have a raffle. It will be glorious.
Excellent.
Jerky and stuff like that.
Derby kayaks.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of neat stuff. It's not the biggest raffle probably we've ever had, but we've got the typical things. Folks came out of the woodworks in the last week or so. It's always awesome to see that. So we should be all set to go with all of that.
And that's going to be, raffled items are down here, but they'll be moved upstairs,
We've
right?
moved them upstairs.
You already
We just
did?
need to do a little magic.
Okay, sounds good, for the presentation.
I've got a big list for whoever's next with that.
Great,
Emails.
yes. All right. Okay, and historians, gotcha. Do you have anything to report?
Not a lot to report other than Susan and I are going to be embarking more fully on the
annual meeting manual that we've been talking about for a long time. I have a shell and I have a lot of great ideas already put in it, but I want specific stuff to the meetings we hold. I also have received a bunch of stuff from several of you, information from your meetings and notes and stuff like that, and I should be getting some more next week from Mike Flaherty. So I think we ought to have something, or at least a draft for people to review sometime.
Great, thank you.
And we're attempting to put a lot of the information that from year to year on the website, so it's accessible to anyone
Yeah.
and everyone. So it's not just in a file cabinet, get it across.
Thank you. In fact, that's something that I feel is probably on the old business list that I did not include, which is that we've talked about this over the last year, try and get more information online. For example, who won awards in the past, who've been past presidents in the past, who are getting the Clem Spindler Travel Awards, right? So we now have all of that digitized instead of on a piece of paper, and I will be updating it and then sending it off to Chris to work his magic on the website, and that'll be a really great addition, I think, from a historical perspective, but also for just a record-keeping perspective, which is awesome. The other thing that I will just add to this, which is really more new business, I apologize for the out of order, but as I mentioned this morning, we are looking for folks to help bolster our committees. We have a lot of committees that are actually chairs that are committees of one, and so if anybody in this room is interested in helping on any of these things, please talk to one of us, or the chairs, if you will, on here. Not every committee needs to have multiple people, but I know after working with Stacy on the diversity, as well as planning this meeting, more people, more perspectives, more ideas really is helpful, and it spreads the work out across more people, not so burdensome. So it's please let us know if anybody is interested in helping out as a committee member. I've also forgot to mention that Pete Osterman from Region 8 DEC also helped with the program development, so I meant to say that as well. And I also meant to, I forgot again to thank Scott Schluter and Chris Castiglione for all of their help on the meeting preparations. So old business officially on here is the Restoring America's Wildlife Act. I just wanted to let you know that in October I reported to the executive committee that I would write a letter in support from the New York chapter of this, and I have not yet done it. I have yet contacted Drew Winters, who is the AFS policy director, who is the one who's sending out all the emails to chapter presidents, and they're still looking for co-sponsors in the House as they push for a vote on the floor. And New York currently has 9 co-sponsors, but Dan Stitch and I will be working on this, and we'll get a letter out by the end of the month, and to support funding to go back to our state, and also for all of the work that we do and we need to do in the state on wildlife and fishes. New business. I also wanted to again put a plug. The conference for AFS is close by. It's also a slightly different time of year. The Reno meeting was in end of September, beginning of October. And the NED, the AFS has asked for our state chapters to put together or chapters in general, put together a display to highlight and celebrate the history of all the chapters. And I will be working with Kara Elwell-Hodkin, who is the president of the Student ESF Student Subunit student chapter, to put together a New York display to take to the meeting. If anybody has any ideas, wants to help out with that, please let us know. And the other thing that AFS is doing is, this actually might already be up, is asking for nominations for 150 fishes to celebrate. And so you can nominate your favorite fish, which I think is pretty cool. There's a number of fish already nominated. You can see, I think it was down here. Maybe, here it is. Here's listed of nominated fish already. I think at least one person in here have already nominated a fish. What's that? Round whitefish, yep. And there it is. So you can see that there's a number here that are already nominated, but there's a process. So if anybody wants to celebrate a fish in particular, go for it. Just thought I'd advertise that. And really, I think that's all I have for new business, other than I think I'm done. Sorry? Yes, thank you. We do need, as we transition from me as president to President-elect Dan Stitch as president, we need some past presidents to help escort Dan Stitch up to the front of the room. The typical sandwich.
Oh, you got it over there.
Let me carry it.
Just be careful to take off.
All right, go that way. Let's go that way. All right, get over here, everybody. Drag your
feet.
Congratulations.
Here, the bylaws, the handbook. I know, right? Do you want me to go through?
No, I want you to take this. And just certificate of appreciation here to President Susan for all the hard work that she's been putting in here and dealing with all of us who are, I'm sure, like herding cats in the best way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've had, just a quick note, I've had a really wonderful time being your president over the last year. It's been an eye-opening experience in many ways, and I've met so many people, and so I feel like I now know the whole chapter in a whole different way, which is really wonderful. And thanks to all the executive committee again for putting up with me, for my crazy ideas, for being super blunt and progressive, but I hope that you all continue to do good work here for the chapter. So thank you. Feel free to do whatever.
I'll just do a motion.
Oh, here.
Yeah, if you want. Okay. Just call
Do you see this one?
I forgot that award. That was the pen.
Yeah, I want to move to have the secretary treasurer cast one vote for the secretary treasurer for him to continue his secretary treasurer position.
Second.
Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. That's a good thing for me. Scott, what do you got next here? Announcement of the new president-elect. Okay. Well, we've been doing all this. Scott Jones has tallied the votes for us, and our next president-elect will be Heidi. Is that the last thing I need to do? You can't keep this stuff without Scott and everybody else. Because it seemed like everybody enjoyed Scott's budget so much, I've prepared another one for you all to look at. I think mine is exciting. I don't know. Doubtful. Scott made it for me.
Awfully odd.
I'm just not comfortable making with numbers. It goes against everything I do, which is primarily working with made-up numbers. So for those of us who haven't met, I'm Dan or Stitch or whatever. I spend about half of my time inside of computers and the other half of my time outside with my kids. My kids here on the far right. Okay, that's a lie. We're inside. We're working on the house. My coffee. And then my other kids here, I spent a lot of time working with high school interns during the summer, a lot of younger college interns through our biological field station. And so it's kind of actually like all the field research I get to do anymore is mostly with high schoolers. And it's really gratifying and really super fun. And now I'm like writing these kids letters of recommendation to grad school after they go to ESF and finish working in Carnes Lab with grad students and stuff like that. So it's really exciting. So that's me. Don't be afraid to yell at me come find me, whatever, if you need anything. Everybody knows I don't take anything seriously. Hopefully I don't offend you with anything, like this missing picture of a location for our next meeting. Scott, you said you were going to give me one. No, we don't have a location yet. We've been tossed around a bunch of ideas. One of the things we have been talking about is trying to either maintain this sort of where we're at budget-wise, but maybe knock down meeting costs a little bit. As we're starting to get larger, we can fit into some larger, less expensive venues in some cases, but it also seems that this end of registration before the meetings really help us a lot in terms of planning, which is huge for us. So we tossed around a few ideas. Yeah, of course, we've talked about going back to the Osaga because it's awesome. They can just about fit 300 of us. It'd be super easy. Looking into some options actually out in Albany. So apologies for those of you who already work or live there. You don't get to go anywhere cool. So we're going to keep talking about this with the XCOM, and I'm talking to folks at various locations right now. For the theme for next year, I have asked him, and he has accepted. Matt Altenritter, Dr. Matt Altenritter out of SUNY Brockport. Would you stand for us? No, thank you. And I hope this is going to be a fun one. One of the huge things I've always gotten out of this chapter and the society at large really are the connections. It's like family. I remember when I was like freshman in college, watching you guys run these meetings and kind of really come up through here. So we're roughly loosely going with just connections right now. I work a lot with dance too, so it's a good play on words. We've identified one or two folks who would be willing to come out with plenaries, and Matt and I have past connections. Of course, we went to grad school together, for those of you who don't know. So hopefully really showcasing, just as Joe was talking about earlier, just kind of showcasing those really cool collaborative connections that we have. Within our chapter, it's huge, you know, and within AFS, it's huge. So hopefully bringing that to bear, and then thinking about maybe things like coastal telemetry networks and crap like that, depending on who we get to talk. So just little babies right now growing. There it is. I told you it's coming. Isn't that exciting? So as Scott mentioned, there's a little bit of just filling here basically to make our numbers come out to zero at the end of the table. And so what we've got here is a rough approximation to this previous year's budget, or balancing against, I guess, this previous year's budget. So you'll notice the meeting cost is a lot bigger than it's ever been on a budget before. That's because we're 5,000 in black right now after a large meeting last year and this year. So those numbers are up right now there. We certainly need to talk about probably closing that gap a little bit. If we, spend 30 grand and pull down 45 again or something like that. But I think we've got lots of really cool opportunities to close that. I'm not going to go into every nitty-gritty detail here other than to say, yes, I'm definitely going to the NED meeting. I'm going to stay at my advisor's house because they live right there. So don't tell them, they don't know yet. So I'm going to go up and go up for fun anyway. So I don't need to take that one on. AFS, I've got budgeted at 15 there. It's close trip, relatively short distance, so I'm thinking that should be reasonable. And I've got some slop at the school to cover travel needs wherever we need that. Everything else is pretty straightforward. We've got the donation. Do we have that one in this one? Okay, great. So that one's in there, but we've already I need to change the numbers again. No. Does anybody have questions, comments, issues with this?
Just to be clear, we're talking 2020, 2021.
Damn it. I copy and pasted Susan's slides.
It's okay. I did the same.
They were good slides. And we don't need
We need a motion. I put a motion on the floor to accept Dan's proposed budget for 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Did we do that right?
Yep, I think we're good.
All right, let's is there other new business then?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right.